Okay, welcome back. We've let the static grass dry now, and we turned it upside down. We knocked it off, got all the loose stuff out. So now we have basically our base. Now the next step we're going to do is, since this is going to be a shrub line with saplings, and we're also going to have some other stuff here with vegetation. In the end, it's going to have a lot of summery vegetation in it. Now what we're going to do is, where that is, we're going to use at the time of this video, an experimental product I've got here. Basically, it's an underbrush. The main product we're going to use for the shrubbery is going to be the scenic shrubs, all different colors, varieties, textures. Now you can use these from the start, but you got to add a lot in order to give it some depth and some character. So instead of wasting a ton of shrubs on it, I like to build up the bottom of where I'm going to put them, because looking at them from a distance, it's usually clumps, and they pile up and they're staggered. So I like to build the actual mound up a little bit first. You can use plaster, or you shape your, when you're making the base, you can shape it the way you want it. But whenever I look into a spot where there's a lot of shrubbery, it's all intertwined. There's all sorts of stuff in there. So I wanted something that, if you get close to it and you look at it, that it looks like there's stuff in there other than just a mound. So we're going to pop our tree out. We started this. This won't be a tutorial, but here and there I'll show parts of it. We just started to attach some of the seafoam to the branches. I'll be working on this in between also as we're doing the diorama itself. So although it's not a separate tutorial, I'll just show it as it kind of keeps going along in bits and pieces. So, like I said, basically what this is a moss that's been glycerin preserved, kept kind of chunky. It's got some different lichens in it, a couple different colors, and it's also got, it's going to be hard to see, but some shredded glycerin preserved root, which kind of gives it a little bit of a stringy look also. So what we do with that, actually here I'll show you what it looks like, a little practice piece here. This is it after spraying with matte medium, which we're going to do, which I'm going to show. But what it does is it gives it a clumpy underbrush, so you can kind of see the bottom. Now I would keep adding stuff on top of this in order to build it, but that way when you look into it, it's got texture, which you'll see more of later. Here's another little piece. So what we're going to do, we're going to take some of it, and we'll throw away a bowl here. Make sure it's mixed up. Again, this is something that's not available at the moment. Maybe by the time this video is out it will be, but I'm kind of really liking it. Or we can mix up a couple different ones if we want. Now the way I do this is, I use the diluted matte medium with this, and basically we don't make a paste, we're just going to wet it so we can clump it on. I need one more part. Just for a little added strength, even though this is going to be wet and it's going to stick everywhere, then it's going to clump together. I'm actually going to put some full strength matte medium down first, just to make sure. Now the only thing that I know where it's going on here are the tracks, excuse me, and the tree. So I'm going to keep that little pin there. Now these tracks aren't going to be muddy. We're going to use the scenic mud to make them, but basically this is going to be a summer scene, dry field, but I need the look of the tank drove over it, so the weight of the tank pushed all the field down where the tracks are. So we will do the field itself first, and then in the end we will do the dry mud, just to kind of use as a flexible base, and then we will do the field on the tracks, and then we'll roll it over, and it should blend into the actual field that's still standing to make it look correct. So what we're going to do quick is, actually, you know what? I'm going to mix this up first. I'm just going to use my spray. This is my favorite traditional, about 4-to-1 water matte medium mix that I use for everything. I'm going to spray it right in here and get this wet. Again, this dries nice and matte, unlike white glue or other cement, so you can just soak it. It's going to dry and it's going to look fine in the end. Now I want it covered good because I want it to harden in the end. It's going to take a little bit, maybe quite a bit here. Now what I'm not going to do with this as much as I do with other dioramas is when I put stuff down, then I spray over, put stuff down, spray over. The static grass is a little bit fragile, so I don't really want to build up a glue layer on that. So when I can, I'm not going to actually spray that. Oops. A little bit more. Now this is just one of those steps that really, until we're done a little bit later, it's not going to look like much. It's just, like I said, with this video, I just wanted to show all the little ditzy parts to it. Normally I would have just already done this and told you what I did, but figured I'd do the whole shebang on this one. Okay, we're almost good there. A little bit more. Now this is mainly a drabby color, moss, but I did throw in a little bit of bright spring color just to give it variety when you're looking through. There's always going to be some color that stands out. Again, in the end, you might not even see any of it, depending on, once we get all the shrubs on it. Okay. That's pretty soaked. It's on everything, so when it dries, it's going to dry as a clump. So that's what we got. We'll probably get to make a little bit more too. So, oops. See that? I already forgot a step. Let's put the full strength matte medium down first. And I bring it right over to the edge. I don't really, I like the scene to go right over the top edge of the diode base on most ones I do. No need to tape anything off at the moment on this. We're actually going to add a little bit here too in the end, but we'll get this part done first. All right. Now this dries totally clear. It looks milky now, but you'll see in the end when it actually dries. I want to get it close to the edge. The shrubs will really cover the edge. We'll get this pretty close. Again, the purpose of this is to give us a little depth. Don't have to cover every little piece because remember we're going to cover everything with shrubs. Piece hanging off here I'll trim off after. I'm not even going to bother with it right now. Not so heavy where the tree part is. We'll fill that in by hand after. Now the field will blend this in also once we get to that part. Okay, I'm going to mix up a little bit more because I want to put some right here. A couple spots. Again, same thing. Just wet it up. Oops. And not watery water, just enough so we know it's all coated. Really like this stuff. As you'll see later, it really works well. Alright, now we know the tank's here, shrubs, bushes everywhere, saplings, but off a little bit, there's going to be a little mound of something here. I don't know what yet. So this we're actually going to put right on, and then I'm going to stipple it into the static grass a little bit. And this we will spray a little bit so it goes down and soaks in. That we're going to leave. We want to have a lot of field area. Make it look like it's somewhat vast. So we're only going to put a little bit here. Right. This we're going to spray very, very lightly, just so I know it goes right down into the static grass. I don't want to really cover static grass outside of this little spot though. Don't worry if you get a little bit on the static grass. It'll get in, it dries, and put a little bit on top. Alright, now we're going to let this sit. And I haven't decided yet if we're going to start the shrubbery first and the field into it, or vice versa. Even though I have a plan in my head, 90% of the stuff I do, I change my mind as I'm going. So that's why I like to cover everything, because like I said, the only thing I know for sure is we're going to put the big tree there. Not sure how we're going to do saplings. We might even throw a little skinny field pine in it. We'll see as time goes on. So okay, so we're going to let this dry, and we'll come back with the next step.